The date is March 6, 1995. I'm here with Mr. Charlie Burchett of Knoxville, who served in the United States Marine Corps in World War II. Can you set the stage for us when you first joined the Marines, what the timetable was?
Let's see, I guess this was 42 when I had 2 years of college at Austin P. My main reason for going to college was to chase girls and play football. And I wasn't really a very good student. And the war started, and my feeling was that I read about what the Japanese had done to the Chinese. I knew about the Bataan Death March, and I figured that they were meaner than the Germans. And we heard a constant stream of propaganda from the media that the Japanese was a superman as a soldier. That I read things like this. I read this once in one of the major, there's a newspaper front page. He says, Superman in the jungle, give him a handful of rice and live for days, super disciplined. He's an expert with a bayonet, expert at hand-to-hand combat, and you think the guy's invincible, you know. Well, when I read about what he was doing, and I think it was obvious that they eventually planned on invading the United States, which they did. They had a plan already drawn up called the Tanaka Plan. They even issued currency, occupational currency for their troops to use when they took over the United States or during the invasion. I didn't know that at the time. But anyway, I joined this program that the Marine Corps had with the Navy. Very simple. They would take you into the Marine Corps with 2 years of college, put you in OCS. Now, I didn't really, I really didn't originally plan to do that because I wanted to fly the Corsairs and tangle with the Jap Zeros. But you had to join the Navy with no assurance you'd be in the Marine Corps. You were in the Navy, and you Navy uniforms, Navy flight training, and then the Marines got a certain quota of pilots. Well, I didn't want to be in the Navy. So I was in sort of a quandary. About that time, there was a group of officers, there must have been 20, from every branch, including the Coast Guard, that were going across the country. Well, there were several groups, but across the Southeast, this group was, visiting colleges, and almost make you believe you were unpatriotic if you did not continue in college. They said, we want officers, we got plenty of enlisted men because the college men were going into the service, dropping out of school. Well, in my case, as I went to play football and chase girls, we had to stop football, the intercollegiate sports, because of the travel restrictions, tire shortage, gasoline, and whatever. And as a result, it really put a damper on college life. See? So I thought I would get in and get the thing over with and get out. I wanted to be in a combat outfit.
Why is that?
Well, there's always a group of people then that were doing everything they could to get out of the service. And I just thought, you know what, you could go into the ministry. Now you could start into college, say I'm going to be a minister, and you could just stay in there and go right on through divinity school. And I think that's part of the problem with the church ineffectiveness of the large mainstream denomination today. Then those got in there, they weren't very successful in the pulpit and getting people saved. So then they came back, got advanced degrees, and went into administration, and really the operation of those, and in high places as administrators, calling the shots, writing the programs for the young people and this sort of thing. But then you could be a defense worker or a farmer, and they got to be real popular vocations among people. And maybe I've seen some of that, and I like what we had in this country, and I wanted to protect it, and I was willing to, I wanted to get in the heat of the thing, the main part, so when that was over, that I didn't have to bow my head to anybody.
Right, you weren't going to have to come home and make excuses.
No.
You were going to be a contributor.
Now this means you're risking your life, and that's it. But, and I found that I wasn't alone, because when I was overseas, we were preparing for an invasion. I asked many of the men. I had more education than most of them in my outfit, but I was also fairly young. Not the youngest, but quite young. Kind of green too. Why did you join the Marine Corps? And I got the same answer from everything. I didn't ask them as a group. I'd ask individuals when I was talking to them. Why did you join the Marine Corps? Now, some of them didn't know put it in very fancy words, but I got the meaning was the same in every case. Now, we referred to the U.S. back at that as the States, and the answer would be this: I like what we got back in the States, and I want to keep it that way. They're talking about my girlfriend, or my wife, my children, mom and dad, and everything I do, my job. I want to keep it that way, and I'd rather fight these. I mean, you got several adjectives there that I won't repeat. Fight these black nips out here on these islands than back on the West Coast. And that's what they said, each one of them. And I think that very thing, see, the Marines are all volunteers. And towards the end of the war, they made them start taking draftees. And some of them, many of those guys, when they got in there, they worked out real good. But that's the reason that I guess in general there's a lot of us were out there. But anyway, this group of officers, as a result of that talk, I joined the Marine program. That meant I would be called into. I joined it on November the 20th, I believe, 42, and this meant that they'll have you before Christmas. Good. Christmas came and they didn't have me. And then the first of the year, well, we'll get you the first of the year, right after the first of the year. And sometime in the spring, I got a set of orders ordering me to Georgia Tech to finish my degree. Now, they were going to pay for it. The government, they put us in uniform. And we were, received a private's pay. I mean, what better deal could you get, you see?
Was this like a Marine version of the ASTP program?
Well, it's called the D-12 program, and the Navy had the same thing. So we had I don't know what they call it. I can't remember how many it was. Pretty good number, but there were Navy guys there and Marines also. And we were all under the same jurisdiction there, under some Navy guy in charge of the whole thing. Well, you can imagine they put an old Marine officer that was, he's one of those crazy Yankees from Boston. He'd been to Guadalcanal, and he was recuperating from malaria, so he isn't good enough, so they put him down there in charge of us. And then they had an old Marine platoon sergeant, been in for 15 or 20 years. And I think he'd been on Guadalcanal too. Those gunner sergeants are really, platoon sergeants ain't know their business. Weapons and Marine Corps drilling and this sort of thing. And he, I don't think, was too happy to be sent down there with that bunch of soft college kids that he thought was soft. But anyway, so, but it was kind of it really got to be kind of boring in a way. I know I had my younger brother was out in the Pacific on a destroyer. Some of my buddies were killed in Europe and Africa, high school buddies.
Were you from Clarksville originally?
Clarksville, Tennessee. And it was just hard for me to go to school, and I would have been going, it taken me about 2.5 years to finish in OCS, and I thought this war's going to be over, and I'm not going to fight it this way. So one day, one of the guys went over to the captain's office and asked him, and said, look, now anytime you join a program, flight training or anything like that, you flunk out. Anywhere along the line, you go into enlisted ranks. So he asked the captain, could he just leave that place and go to boot camp and be an enlisted Marine? And the guy said, well, you've thought about it, and if that's what you want to do, come back tomorrow and we'll sign your papers, have your papers ready for you. So he came back to the residence over at the dormitory, and told everybody. I wasn't there at the time. I'd been with them, and they found out in about 15 minutes there were about 60 guys over there wanting to get their paper signed, get out of that thing. And he called the company together, cussed us out, and said, "You black, you're not getting out of here." He said, "The only way you can get out is to flunk out. And if you flunk out, I'm going to rack you for disobedience to orders, because I'm ordering you to study." Which he was laughing. Make sure I get out. I didn't take my exams. And that was a good way.
It worked, huh?
It worked. So then, off to boot camp, I went.
Parris Island?
No, Parris Island was filled up. I thought that was where I go. They sent San Diego. In sunny Southern California in the wintertime. It rains and cold, and you wear an overcoat at night, and in the morning you get in your T-shirts.
What was that like? What do you remember from boot camp and training?
Boot camp. Well, that was an interesting thing. Before they sent us out there, see, I don't know. We had a lot of pride. We in our outfit. Now, Georgia Tech had a naval ROTC program, and many of these guys had been in college, 4 years, finished 4 years, and knew all the drilling and that sort of thing. But so they just had some sort of contest about the drilling. We out-drilled the Navy. They couldn't even make a show it to us. But the ROTC, we out-drilled them. And people couldn't understand it. And they decided they were going to get us in good shape down there. We got boxing one day, judo the next. And then in addition to that, Georgia Tech in the Southeastern Conference then, and they had to quit some way they could... They were playing, they played freshman, which is a new thing, and therefore they needed a B team, and to scrimmage the varsity, to get knocked around, in other words. So I volunteered for that. I had to talk my way into it, because I didn't weigh 145 pounds. They thought I was a little small, but I got into it anyway. That was interesting.
What position were you playing?
I was tailback, and then running back. But we did a lot of, they scrimmaged, and Coach Alexander, his institution was down there.
They had a great program, didn't they?
They did. I remember back one day we were scrimmaging, and I intercepted the pass, and I started running back. What I wanted to do, they blew the whistle, and wouldn't let us. They were just checking their offense on it. So, when we went to boot camp, see, we used close order drill. Here we are again, the only thing about the military that's accurate, combat in the movies is a joke. There's nothing like that. But the Marine drill instructor, he's this big jerk, is they show him the things. And they got these soft college kids coming in, Well, what happened was, they didn't have to teach us close order drill. I remember one time the drill instructor, we had a double time, that's about 3 miles to Knoxville, of course. And we ran that thing 2 or 3 times while he set the shape. And then we started back, he was going to run us, cause us to play out, which is a trick they pull on new recruits,
What is that?
Well, we would double time. As soon as we got through that obstacle course, we formed up and headed back to our area, which was about a 3-mile run. And so he had all that rest, and he was going to run us till we started passing that, dropping out, and getting red in the face. Well, what happened was he almost passed out, and we were still going. From then on, we didn't have much of the usual crap that they gave us.
So they were a little lighter on you from that on? He knew that you were...
Well, we made him look good, see. We could do the drill, and the recruits coming in didn't know the right foot from the left foot, we had trouble.
This was at Camp Pendleton, California?
Now, this is Marine Corps recruit depot in San Diego. They tested us, everybody, and they gave you 6 choices of what you wanted to get into, which was a joke, because they just put you in where they wanted you anyhow. And I cooked up this scheme. I'm going to apply for the air wing. And I'll be what they call an aerial gunner on those dive bombers and torpedo bombers. And after a while, I had 2 years at college, which is all you needed for flight training. And then I'll go into flight training. And, of course, I'd be and then you're really in the Navy. But being once a Marine, they're sure to put me back into it. So, I listed aviation at the top. Well, you had to those drill instructors to train you for what's after boot camp. When you talked to them, you said yes or no, sir, and stood at attention. But you didn't salute them because they were not officers. So, one of those tests they gave you was mechanical aptitude.
so difficult, but I'd worked a year as a mechanic before I went into college.
An auto mechanic or?
Yeah, I'm a truck mechanic. And I have a real fine mechanical aptitude, and I just aced that way. And I remember when the guy talked to us about the test, man, ace that, it dawned on me. See, I was thinking, they'll make a mechanic out of me. And I could not find a war in aviation mechanic or any other kind of mechanic. So I went over to I can remember that, there was a little hood man saying of San Diego, knocked on that door, because I was going over to the West changing my, when I enlisted, because I didn't want to get into that. But I knew what they do with it. So, the problem is, first of all, it happened that way because those torpedo dive bombers were very, very slow. They obsolete things. And they didn't have fighter escort, and the Zeros attacked. They measured the gunners' life in seconds because they could come in from side, knock him out, and then the plane would reverse it. I learned about that after war. So Lord was looking after me. I went over and knocked on that hut, and old guy inside said, "What in the hell do you want?" I said, "I'd like to change my choices." "Well, what in the hell do you want to change it to?" I said, "Well, it's aviation." He said, "I want to change it to the infantry." "Well, is it on there anywhere?" I said, "Well, it's second." He said, "Well, if it's on there anywhere, you sure as the hell get it. Now get the hell out of here." So that's how I got to change. So I got out of boot camp. They put me in that boot camp sometimes, but that took weeks right there.
So how long was it?
I don't know, about 16 weeks or 12 or something like that. I can't remember. For 2 weeks you spent on the rifle. But, and all that stuff about the Japanese being the super soldier, I just didn't believe that. And I remember this, when I got through with my medical training, I was looking forward to it. I just didn't believe it would be able to make it. And then I'm not that, and this is the way most of the guys felt. Now, when I got through with my hand-to-hand combat, this would be pretty nice if I went out of ammunition.
So you look forward to the idea of hand-to-hand?
Well, yeah, I just didn't believe that these people, you see, you have to realize how arrogant the Japanese were. Pearl Harbor had occurred, Guadalcanal, the big one of the kids, the Navy, powered up, they some of the most stupid things in the city. And some invasion, they sent us on. Nobody but the Marines could think of those things with a kind of attitude like that. Because there was Army troops at times in the same situation, they would not fight. Because you walk in any group, you know, that's on some of those fatal fields, you know, you're going to get shot up. But anyway, I don't know what it was now.
Now we're back at San Diego and you're there at the rifle range.
Oh, yeah. Well, I said, when I got through it, we spent 2 weeks shooting at him one. And at 500 yards, the 20-inch bullet down, it's like an 80-yard gun, that's good time. You could just put anything on it. And we had the best equipment. We had the best fight. And I should need to this fight. And I said, no problem now. The Navy got the first division going up. I scared the guys to come and pull out the whole and move away and get out. But took half the equipment down there. And it took all of it on campus and different troops, because they played at the state line, they did this, they didn't know that they were going to do that shit. They were scared to find that stuff. Well, this happened, that, that. But they didn't leave. I'm going to lose if the troops that we got on there, that people I say, if they say they lose everything, so they go to the first thing that is now, I don't know what it is. And that, this is the Ireland man, and this trade in, they put out a nice way after that, they didn't prove, we slipped in there, and I didn't know somebody, under the water, and all the islands around there, that made it, I guess, good. They did it just be a matter of time. So they put out a nice way. Oh, by the way, the man was representing the Marine of Guadalcanal, I said, I don't know, and I said, good at time, they go over to Guadalcanal, you visited that place, you saw something that was nice and left under the country. The general in the Navy was probably that general. When he heard about it, he started drawing up surrender papers and they landed it in 7 days, but they didn't do that. They also, some Contra Colonel, he said we were not practice, told us to do the month of May. He was, he had us in a group. Post soldiers, and I said, well, hey, he put something like this, I mean, most of them, and told us to be on the Marine, and about it, so, that was just good. And once that really hit, I went to the academy, about that, yeah, we talked a lot because some of it, yeah, we got to pick up off and maybe both sides had that kind of fight. So that means so like that.
Alright, let's see if that works. Okay, to reconstruct, I'm interviewing Charlie Burchett of Knoxville. On March 6, 1995, Charlie was a Marine in the Pacific in World War II. You started out saying that you were at Austin Peay University for 2 years. That's correct? You're from Clarksville, Tennessee originally.
That's correct.
And you were in the B-12 program.
That's right.
Ended up going to Georgia Tech with the B-12 program, and figured that at that rate, it was 1943 at this point, you were never going to get into the war. Can you tell us why it was again that you wanted to join the Marines and go off to the war?
Well, I knew about how cruel the Japanese were to the Chinese and any other place that they actually ended up took over. And you knew that it was obvious they had a plan to eventually invade the United States, and the Japanese soldier was described as a super combat man that no one could stand to get up against, and I didn't believe that, and I wanted to keep what we got in this country and without any interference from those people. So that's the reason I joined the Marine Corps. I thought that'd be the outfit to get the job done, and I was correct.
And so after choosing to attack and going in as an enlisted Marine, you were sent to San Diego and to boot camp there. Can you tell us a little bit about what that was like?
Well, that was a real interesting experience. I think the fact that when we got to boot camp that we knew close order drill, we were in top physical condition, we knew something about the military and the military discipline, and really made the job of the drill instructors easy. It was kind of a shock to them because they thought they were getting soft, excuse me, chocolate, that's the term the Japs use, soft, flabby, somewhat rich college kids, see. And we weren't flabby and we weren't rich, and we were in top physical condition and knew something about the Marine Corps, and we wanted to be there. And, so we made them look good on the drill field and other things.
And you were in San Diego for about 6 months?
Oh, I think approximately that. I don't remember exactly the days.
You had a girlfriend at the time there?
Yeah.
What was that like? You got out in San Diego on the weekends, or what was the whole
Yeah,
time like?
we had liberty. You put in your day's work, and most evenings you really had off. So they always kept a certain percentage on base, and there was plenty of time. One thing about the Marine Corps, the first place, even in boot camp, they taught you to take care of yourself. And crap like this, if they saw anyone, or even they didn't have to see them, if they accused you of throwing down a cigarette butt, see, in the camp area, so we were in the sand, all they do is cover the thing up. They gave you, whoever had that, they gave you a needle with a long piece of thread, probably about, hanging onto that needle about, it'd be maybe a couple of feet long, foot and a half, anyway. And you were supposed to travel all through the area and fill that thing up with cigarette butts. And you didn't have a whole lot of time to do it. And so what you did was, your buddies helped you. And as a matter of fact, you always kept one of those thread things yourself. We would keep one in an outfit to pass on to the guy. Well, they knew what you was doing. It was just another way to take care of it. When I walked out my first call of liberty after I got out of boot camp, I walked out the main gate. I was they sent me to Camp Eddy, about 20 miles from San Diego. There were a couple of little school bus size buses out there and about 2,000 people. And there wasn't a way you going to get there. So you had to manufacture your way into town if you got there. And it was that way all the way through the Marine Corps.
So how did you do it?
I don't recall. You found somebody with a car. There wasn't many of them around, but I remember getting there.
So a lot of the people around there, civilians, were willing to give you rides. They were willing
Well,
to see you.
I don't recall. All I remember, because I know I got there because I saw this little girl on a regular basis, and from then I started to. They put me in this motor transport training center because of that mechanical aptitude I had, and I ended up in a carburetor ignition unit. They weren't teaching anything, but I knew as much as an instructor anyway, and they had a lot of experience. I worked for International Harvester dealer as a truck and tractor mechanic, and they had a lot of international equipment there, and so it was just it was boring, and again, you know, I didn't get in the Marine Corps to work on Jeeps or anything else.
Right, and you had worked as a mechanic in civilian life for a year.
And I really had mechanical aptitude that maybe scores well on that crazy test. If I'd known that had happened, I would have zeroed it, but anyway. So I wanted to get after so long time, I thought I'd join the paratroopers, and I kept waiting. Well, you know, I'll see her again this weekend, because I just didn't want to break her heart by leaving her for however long, 3 months I'd be up there in the boondocks at Camp Pendleton. So then I went to, they did away with the paratroopers because they were not very practical out there on those islands. You try to get the wind out, instead of hitting the island, you'd end up in the ocean. And then I said, well, I'll get in the Raiders. And the same thing, and they did away with the Raiders, and then I got desperate because I did not want to stay. And a lot of people wanted to do that, but I was afraid that they would make an instructor out of me. And I just couldn't fight the war like that. So they were putting together what they call a replacement battalion there. So I found out what a replacement battalion was. That was, they put the group together. I don't know what criteria they used for doing it, but they would go overseas, and then just the divisions, the casualties, and those that were being rotated home. So I volunteered for that, and I said, well, I get out of here, and they let me do that. And I thought, now I'll be in infantry for sure. They sent us to New Caledonia. Well, they had a conditioning and training camp. Everyone, see, when you come out of boot camp, you're a fairly good rifleman to start with. You know something about it. And the thing about the Marine Corps, whatever you do, you're subject to being put into the lines. If they need you, they put cooks, they put airplane mechanics on Peleliu in there, whatever. That if they need, you know what to do. And everybody has a weapon and ammunition in the combat area. So they put, let's see, lost my train of thought there. What was
You had, they had sent you to New Caledonia as part
So,
of the replacement.
Oh yeah,
battalion.
and they had a bunch of old raiders down there in this old raider camp. And man, they put us through it. You know. And I thought, man, I'll be in the infantry now. Bayonet training, everything, conditions.
So they put you through your paces at New Caledonia. Now, this is it 1944 by now, or?
I don't believe so. Could have been the first step because we hit Peleliu 45.
That was September 44, wasn't it?
Yeah, September.
Right.
Yeah. Well, that was most rigorous training that I've ever had, and it was good because although we were in good shape. Of course, those dummies that officers, see, we spent, I don't know, I believe it took us nearly 30 days to get to New Caledonia on an old Liberty ship, they called it.
What was that like, being on the Liberty ship for that
Oh,
long?
well, no air conditioning, and in those holes, you just, it's unbelievable, sweat. Actually, we would we would sleep out on, weather permitting, a steel deck rather than to sleep on one of those things. And I just get something for Ella. sleep on the steel deck, and it was a lot more comfortable than
Down
down
the
in that
holes.
hole. But anyway, we survived. We've been on there 30 days. We did calisthenics every day, but your feet were just soft as cotton. And those idiots, the first thing we did, we went into dropped our gear down in a tent and went on a 20-mile hike without getting your feet conditioned to anything. Which was stupid, because all the blisters and things that came would come from that kind of thing. But then again, it would pit you against the establishment, and we came out on pretty good on it though.
And so you made it through the 20-mile hike after you got off the ship.
And then it was just really stuff. They had obstacle courses that just made me. I remember swinging over a small river on a grapevine, that kind of stuff. And, we always keep your weapons with you and everything, and keep it clean.
You got an M1. That was your
Yeah,
personal
yeah.
rifle.
Yeah. And I hated to do it when I got to Peleliu. I traded my M1 for a Thompson submachine gun, which I loved.
Why did you do that?
Well, we was close in caves and things like that, and I was covering my buddies since they blew the bunkers in caves. And with a full automatic weapon, it's just better. And the stopping power of a 45 is great, where the M1 will put a hole on through you. This thing kind of flattens out and will stop you. But anyway, then they sent us from there up to, I guess you call it a staging area somewhere. And no, I guess this was a place called Baboo, a real hellhole. And the 1st Marine Division, then I was in the 1st Marine Division when I got there, was the worst treated of all. You can't believe this stuff. There would be supply troops, Army, Navy, and Marine supply troops on nearby islands eating fresh meat and stuff, and we would eat Spam 3 times a day. And it's just unbelievable that kind of stuff. Everybody takes care of themselves, see. We were under the Army, and back off it quite a bit of the time. So we got what they didn't want, and which made it to the point that, I remember on Okinawa, we had to steal stuff. We'd send one of our trucks down to a Navy ship, and we wasn't supposed to be there. Just get in the line, lined up, and fill it up with food. All we didn't eat, see. And we always had plenty of ammunition and plenty of weapons, but anything else, we just didn't get it. But it came through all those others, which tells you something about the higher ups. Well, anyway, back to New Caledonia, Baboo. We were, then I was disappointed again. I thought I'd be putting the infantry outfit. They call 17th Marines, and this is when you 17th Marines, the 1st Marines, you talk to people, that's confusing. We're talking about a regiment, not a division. If you talk about division, you say 3rd Marines, you're talking about 3rd Marine Regiment, not the 3rd Marine Division. Anyway, I was in the 1st Division, and I didn't know what the 17th Marine was. I said, what in the world was that? They said, Engineers. Well, that was a real letdown, because I didn't want to be, building bridges and this kind of crap. It turned out it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. Shortly after the 17th, after I was in the 17th Marines, they were combat engineers, by the way. Combat was first, the engineering was second. They did away with the 17th Marine Regiment. They split it up. They made us a battalion of combat engineers and a battalion of pioneers. Pioneers come in early and try to get all the troops and equipment coming to the right place, direct the unloading, that sort of stuff, which I sure didn't want to do. So I was in the 1st Engineer Battalion, 1st Marine Division, and so They were combat engineers. The infantry took over the flamethrowers, which the 17th Marines had, which was all right with me.
Yeah, you didn't want to be in a flamethrower. In
No,
general,
you know,
did you?
it toting that thing around, and I think it weighed about 140 pounds anyway.
It was pretty dangerous too, wasn't it?
Snipers really looked for them, and I didn't want to be a radio man carrying one of those things. I just wanted to shoot.
You just wanted to be a rifleman.
Yep, and turned out I got to shoot and that 25 pounds of TNT with me everywhere I went. So, anyway, when I got in, they put me in the what they call the headquarters platoon. See, we had some heavy equipment, a few bulldozers. And I'll tell you about those. Those guys took them right up to the front. I mean, and so we had some trucks, and we also were responsible. The headquarters platoon, and they had mechanics to keep that stuff running. And so they put me in that. Well, I didn't like that, but there wasn't much I could do about it, and at least I was out there. And this beluga was, that they claim it's arresting there. Usually they'd send a division to Hawaii or something like that, but not us. This place was, we were in a coconut grove, palm olive, cold egg peat or something. And them doggone things would fall down. They'd call a telephone pole, and one of those things, sometimes guys get hit in the head with those things, And they'd hit your tent. Fortunately, they wouldn't come through the tent. And they had rats and land crabs. And those little land crabs were heavy. And when it rained a whole lot, they'd migrate from back up into the camp area. And the roads around there sometime near the beach would be just covered with those things, and the trucks and jeeps would run over them, and you just slide like you was on ice. And those things had been known to cut its toe off even when they were so. And every morning you'd shake your shoe out to make sure that there wasn't a land crab in there.
How big were they about?
Some of those things would be from claw to claw would be up 10 inches. And a lot of us and then off that one down. All sizes underneath that, see. I remember one time we stepped with a mosquito net over your cot. And one night I always kept me a flashlight, and I was laying on something, I was laying on my stomach, and I woke up and I was knocking something, and it went on the mosquito net, and turned the sheet, my flashlight on, was a doggone scorpion. Well, I smashed him and went back to sleep. They didn't worry about those things. And Guadalcanal was 60 miles from there. And we went over that on maneuvers before we went to Pelham. Now, I remember laying in that Southern Cross, the sky around on a clear night in the tropics is just beautiful. You can identify the Southern Cross. I was laying there just about half asleep on back when we dug in. That was simulating combat conditions. Foxhole, you know what that is. You dig a hole, get your body down below the ground level so the shrapnel won't hit you. And a rat ran across my face. Now, that thing must have been, it seemed to me like it's about 3 feet long to you, so I'll get across that. You know, and this is just something, because there were a lot of rats on the island, rotten coconuts, they must like them or something.
How did you guys deal with the rats? And also on Pabubu, too. I heard there were a lot of rats there.
There were. We just, the guys would make, they hated those land crabs, and they were worse than the rats on Pabubu, where we were anyway. And they would make traps, take a plank and drive sharp nails through it, and raise it up a little and fix it so when that rat, the rats were what and then would get it, take the bait, that thing would fall on him and fix it. And I've seen they would take lighter fluid and those land crabs in the tent, they'd take the lighter fluid and put them spray it on them and light it. That's just something you live with. And they made jungle juice, and I didn't drink then, I don't drink now. That was the damnedest mess I've ever seen.
What did they make it from?
Well, they would get a 5-gallon can, you see them on the back of the Jeep sometime. The large mouth can was porcelainized inside and was for water, and the small mouth that had gasoline in. And they'd get one of those. Let's see what we got. Yeah.
They're talking about how they made a unique kind of alcoholic beverage, jungle juice.
In our outfits, and then they had a still too. I'll tell you about that in a minute. They stole it from the outfit. Somebody's always stealing. Anybody find it, they take it and put it in your location. But that jungle juice, they would eventually they might steal a can of watery fruit cocktail, a gallon can from the galley. Whoever went on guard you and guarded, you can get it from them. And pour it in there, and they would put a lot of they put coconut juice and raisins and potato peelings, and set that stuff on somewhere and let it ferment for I don't know how long, I knew something like a week or so. And this is you started going an operation tension grew, you see. You can never make an invasion and bring troops. And the old hands knew what was coming. There's no way to describe an invasion till you've been there. And so the tension would be building up, and they would do more jungle juice. And I watched them pour that into a canteen cup. And that's a little more than a large coffee cup. Java, Joe, what they call coffee, in those things. And they would pour that stuff. I don't know why they didn't strain it. And the dregs, that stuff that hadn't disintegrated. They filled the thing, the cup, almost to the top. And half of it would be that solid material stuff. And it always followed the same pattern. And the officers stayed away from it when that started. They start out first singing. There's always a guitar in every outfit, and you usually from some Tennesseans, Kentucky, or somewhere in that place, and they from Georgia, and they do, and they played an old country song, Roy Acuff, mainly then. And I learned, man, I could sing those songs by heart. I didn't know what was going on. These guys, these are my buddies. They risk their life for me, and vice versa. They like this music, I like it. So then they start out singing those, then they sing some church songs, then they get drunk, see, and then there'd be a few fights.
Inevitably, right?
Yeah, and then the next day though, everybody whoever got beat up, they didn't matter. They'd all buddies the next day. And so that was always, for those of us that didn't drink, that not anyone broken.
Now, when you came to the unit, you were a replacement, right? And so you were put in with veterans at this point. How did that work out for you? Was it difficult to get to know them?
Oh no.
They were very open with you?
Oh yeah. There's some things you don't talk about. I can't remember exactly what it was. Most of the idle talk had to do with sex and women. Some of the biggest lies you ever heard. One I remember in particular, they called him Black Snake, or Snake, and they called him Air Raid Brown, a kid from Maryland, Tennessee. He wasn't a kid, he was older than I was. And big old long, I think he might have been part Indian because he was sort of round, black hair. He got the name Air Raid on Guam Command. And he was still in the unit because they had to keep some of those guys home. Now, when they were building and repairing the airstrip after the Japs bombed it, so we get some planes in there. By the way, old Pappy Boyington and his outfit came down there. They really shot those Japs up good. When the air raid signal would come up, they had a lot of people, some Australians who worked in plantations and one thing or another, stayed and many of them hid out on those islands and had a radio and they would let us know that planes were coming. And then when the siren would go, condition red, they had bunkers at the edge of the airplane, they'd run for those, and air raid they called them air raid because, and you kept your bandit on because they might come out of the jungle at you, you see. So he always put his rifle in and jumped in beside the band blade instead of going in first or bringing him behind him. And then you really bet how long before he stabbed himself. Because you really, I mean, I don't tell Okinawa, and a buddy got in ahead of me, and you hit and dropped a bone in this area, and it was at night, and man, I jumped in there, I almost broke his arm, because I could hear that thing whistling, and boy, I dove, I couldn't run. So anyway, that's where he got his name, Air Raid, and it was always a regular thing that he told stories about his childhood in elementary school. And one of them was, it was a one-room school over in Buck County. And he said, he'd tell one time that he sat on the back row, and right across the aisle from him, those desks in those days were broken to the floor and rows. And this was a real good student, a goody-good, never did anything wrong at all, and made perfect grades. And so Air Raid there, he took some new paper and stuck it out in the floor and lit it with a match. While the teacher was up, and he jumped up on fire, and ran up to the teacher like he was scared to death. And she went back in, stomped it out, and just beat the fire.
So the good student got blamed for it.
Yeah, and the teacher didn't ask any questions and jumped to conclusions. And another thing, the other one he told was he'd start telling about girlfriend, and she kind of that, and he used this expression every time. And country people used to measure things like that in axe handles. And he always said, and she had her ass 6 axe handles broad. I don't know, I mean, every time I got drunk, we all read it. It's
got better each time, I guess.
So he entertained all you guys pretty much. He was kind of
He was, and we had snow, and some of them just wouldn't say anything. Some of the tales, they had one in the company, and down there they had a, some way, I don't know what the situation was, fighting half over or nearly, whatever it was. This Jap, when they assembled, apparently I guess most of the fighting over was in isolated places. They had their base, and I suppose it was around the airstrip. And at noon every day, he would fire one mortar round at them from there. And that was all. It may be two, I'm not sure. And so finally, they called him Charlie, something had a name for him. One of the guys that they call it going Asiatic. A guy would get that far away look in his eyes and seem to be just all withdrawn, all inside. Never say much, just did his job, just like a zombie type of state. I don't remember particularly what this guy was real quiet, they said, in nature. And that kept on. And one morning he took his rifle and says, I'll be back later. And he was gone for 3 days. After a day and a half, there was no more mortar fire. He came back a day and a half later, never said a thing to anybody. He worked his way up that hill and shot that chap. He never said anything. He later transferred to the scouts and snipers, where that's a good place for a loner.
Yeah, he liked to work alone, and he could sort of go out.
That whole thing. So they filled us pretty well what went on. They talked to us like put the division down. After Boston down, it was just frankly it was unfit for combat because of physical condition, malaria and dysentery.
They had also been in that Cape Gloucester too, hadn't they?
Yeah, oh yeah. That was another one. So we learned a lot about that, and a lot of them, if they sent back to the States, they left in between other troops. Winging what they liked, what the Jap weapons sounded like, and I'd have used myself if we had to, which we never did. So back to Bavuba. So they put me in this headquarters. Now, when we went to Pelham, that's interesting. I found out later the Japanese said the island, it was 6 miles long and 2 miles wide. The Japanese said it couldn't be taken in 100 years with 1 million men.
It was basically a big piece of coral, wasn't it?
Yep. Very hilly. And the Navy was supposed to bomb and shell it for a week prior to the invasion. They quit after 3 days, and one of the officers said all targets had been done away with. The truth of the matter was, he didn't give the Japs a headache. They had one big hill in which they had 5 stories of cave. They took 1,200 troops and keep them there indefinitely, possibly food and everything. There's no way you can, as I went back here, it was past September, there's no way we could have taken that out. It's just unbelievable. But again, as they goofed off with Tarawa and other places, I don't know, it's this kind of thing. We never thought about if we can't take this island, how we're going to get off. And we weren't very dependent on our officers either. And I think probably the Army was trying to bring in the officers with green college kids, you know. We just knew which direction we were going in, and we knew we were going to win. And I never can remember thinking any other way about that.
So you were pretty self-contained. You didn't have to get directions from officers at any given.
And as a matter of fact, the way we were, we didn't know where we were most of the time. The way we operated was, I'm getting a little ahead of myself. Making a landing, let's see, I don't know how long it took us to get from Louisville to Pellerville. We never heard of the place. Not many people in the world have heard of it. They say that it's a forgotten battle, but it has been written up as the most fierce fighting. You know, what does fierce mean? I ain't going to compare this with Evo and things like that. More casualties of Evo. But we lost 1,300 Marines on that place. But we got 10,000 plus of them. And my buddy got 70,000 in one bunker one time. But anyway, when you make a landing, what you do is you load your landing craft up, and the first wave goes in. That's the wave. And again, the food on naval troop ships is terrible. It's slop, garbage. Once a week for breakfast, they say it's a naval tradition. They give you cornbread and beans. Can you imagine that? In the first place, they don't know how to cook soup beans, as we call them in the South. They don't know how to make cornbread. That cornbread is a combination between cornbread and cake. But that's all you got to eat. And no fresh water. You ever try to take a shower in salt water?
What was that like?
The soap comes out. And it wasn't warm either, but you know, that's okay. Japanese probably didn't have that either. But anyway, we got there. Now, they feed you like that, but on the day of an invasion, we get you up about 3 o'clock in the morning, and they feed us steak. You know, they do that, people going to the electric chair.
Right.
No, they get a choice of what they want. We didn't, but anyway, it was good. I can remember that stuff.
So you weren't too nervous to eat it? Generally, everybody just dug in.
No. Actually, you don't know what a landing is like. Now, I was disappointed again. Now, on infantry, I know now how we operated. And one battalion of engineers for the whole division. Each regiment got a company of engineers. So we split out up throughout the division. Each company, each regiment got a company. Each battalion got a platoon. So when the infantry was on the push, we went right with them. And actually, I really liked the engineers after I found out we were combat engineers, is what we would do, because when we weren't on an operation, we did something. We did construction work, roads, and if they didn't have anything else for the infantry to do, they just take them out in the hot sun and get close all the drill. And our work was not, it wasn't as bored as what theirs might be. But anyway, back to a landing. You have to keep an infantry outfit in reserve on their regiment, I believe it was. But I'm not sure. I don't know too much about the naval organization. But anyway, we were held in reserve. And that upset me. When are we going in? Well, we didn't load up ship until 11 o'clock in the morning. You know, you could see, I don't know how many miles out, but you could see that there was something over there, and that's about all from our troops. You got to keep them out of the way of artillery. And the planes never got to our troop ships. Jet planes never did. When we were going, Tokyo Rose broadcast before we knew where we were going, told us where we were going, but we'd never make it. And that night they shut down about 30 bombers all fighting and fighters trying to get to us. We never saw one because troop ships in the middle and they're surrounding all your naval ships, battle waggons, destroyers, cruisers, light cruisers.
Did you see any battleships there?
Now, so we didn't start in until I believe I got in about 2:30 in the afternoon. Now, I remember this very distinctly, going around and around out there, and people get seasick, getting that wave all the time, and then they get the word and they start in. Well, again, I thought we passed the battle wagons. first time I ever seen a battle wagon. As long as I've been out there, hundreds, 1,000 miles I've been, because they stay out pretty well. And then they're surrounded by the light ship. And here they are shooting those broadsides at this island. And that's an awesome thing to see those things. And then we go a little further, and then there's what they call Higginsburg. And there you cruisers, light cruisers and destroyers. And we get 500 yards in, and we have to shift off to what they call amphibious tractors. Those things just all steam up, and they'll run on land, water, or anything. I don't care what it is, those things will go. They scare the life out of you because the tread is made in cups, so when the tread runs, it just scoops the water up and takes you on in. I don't know how many people you get in on those things, but we had to transfer over to that. And those things because 500 yards out, the reef started, and you couldn't get the ship in there because just under the water, it'd tear the bottom out of it. You couldn't get a kayak through there. And so these things would go up and come almost perpendicular down, how they did it. And then I noticed this, the new troops were laughing, they were working, they were quite anxious, but they were trying to cover it up with joking and this sort of thing, wild type stuff. But the old rock and roll boys, I looked at them, what they were doing, they were getting as close to the bulkhead on the wall, or in the corner, and crouching as low as they could. So I said, that's the thing I went there. Now, and we got in further, you could see those corsairs diving, strafing, dropping bombs, and shooting rockets. It's another thing I never heard of before. Rockets on bomb boats. And I thought, man, there's nothing left. Here we come all this way, I've done all this training. And there ain't gonna be nothing can be on that island. When we get a little further in, I noticed those old hands hadn't not seen the word. They get any closer. And I look out and I see some splashes in the water. And I know that's not fish making a splash like that. Then about 200-300 yards down, another Amtrak is hitting a bunch of them. That's artillery. And you wonder what's happening to those guys. So, what will happen? And then you start, everybody gets down. So we land, we get in, and we unload 75 cases of blasting caps. I don't know how many hundreds of blasting caps are in a case. Wooden boxes, only about 2 feet long, a foot or so deep, a couple of feet wide maybe. One blasting cap will blow fingers on you. Very sensitive. Hit your hand sometime if they don't make them explode. And just as we unload those things, it's like noise right now, like fire, gunfire. That Amtrak pulls out and water hits it. And we've got to get ready. Just spend a few feet to get those blasting caps. I had more cops out than them big now that they could have sold me for scrap metal. We get away from them. I don't know what happened to Amtrak. They're supposed to go somewhere. And so the mortars start coming in. Now they've got everything zeroed in, every inch of that island. They know just wherever you hit, they got you covered. So from the hills up there, they start, and they're small mortars, and they practice it probably 100 times. They start down the beach, and they just come down. Now, I remember more about this island. We were there about 3 days. Then I did Pokemon, which was there longer and it's a much bigger operation. But I was almost killed probably 15 times here. I was maybe 6 or 10 on Pokemon. But anyway, those waters start coming. And we don't have time to dig in, so you're hitting the sand just as flat as you can. The thing that I remember very distinctly about it, where we stopped, probably about 20, 30 feet behind us. I'd say about 15 yards. There's a Marine lying on a stretcher. And just like you see in the movies, there's a doctor back there. He's a naval doctor. The Marine rifle is the bed and all that is stuck in the ground. And there's a bottle of plasma strapped hung on the butt of the rifle. And he's doctoring on this Marine. This Marine apparently is dying because he was making a harassment noise. If you ever heard anybody die, I've heard a few, you know what it is. You hear it from it. No matter how many, a good distance away, we could certainly hear it. And as those mortars came down the beach, he never paid them one bit of attention. He just kept working. Well, I've seen that from him, and I was a Christian before I went over there. Of course, that one kind of changed. I was praying, Lord, I sure would like for us to get out of this alive. You know, I counted 9 straight duds. That's some scary, doesn't go off. They had a lot of them. I don't expect stuff from there, but 9 in a row. I mean, they hit the sand and it exploded. One got close enough and got in front of me. He got so close to him that he knocked that Amtrak there. It broke his eardrum even. But then it got fast and it started exploding again before anybody down there. And then before we could do anything, see, I thought the war was over when I saw all that shell in his face. They hollered tanks. Well, they don't say where they're coming from, it's just a tank alert. And I've got a Thompson submachine gun. And the Jap tanks were pretty flimsy compared to our Sherman tanks, but the Thompson probably wouldn't penetrate that. There's the people stopping, a lot of tanks stopping. Nothing to do, just dig in that sand and wait. And and then shortly thereafter, some kid comes in. I bet he was 16 years old. I was glad to get in. He had the biggest grin on his face. He was laughing. And he had a thing called bazooka. And now what's so funny out here, I don't see a bit of anything funny. He had knocked out 5 of those things with his bazooka. They say that in those tanks, they waited too late. If they had started that, they dug them out of some caves or something to out on the left flank and not too far away. It was a reckless type of thing. They used some sense and timed it better that they could have really been disastrous for the troops back there. He knocked that time on those things. And so that night, we were supposed to dig in, and that's a night I'll never forget.
Okay.
Well, we were not on the front, and we were waiting for the infantry, and I was in the headquarters with them, therefore I wasn't assigned to be do the demolition work, which I wanted to do. So I dug me a hole, pretty good sized hole, and just kind of sat in there all night, and them traces were coming from every direction. Somehow, I don't know what it was, the Japanese enlisted men don't know what's going on much anyway. They got in behind, or there were some bunkers down on the beach that they had, were able to survive, and knowing that they couldn't stick their head out there and say that night, and those traces were coming in every direction. There's fireworks all night long, you have to pay swings. Survived that one. I believe it was the next night. We were still dug in on the beach. And what we were trying to do eventually, we had some equipment that needed to get in and set up. Water was in a premium. And we had a water distillation unit. 2 of them away. And so that was what we were supposed to operate in that. So
PFC at this
Yeah.
stage.
Now, after so we dug in again that night, you will give them a password. But that wasn't very effective because here you are hid, and some guys walk along and is crawling along. Japs like to infiltrate. You gave the password, you were given your possession on it. Then you get shot, see, waiting for him to reply. So what the rule was, anything was shot. Anything moved got shot. And so I know the tide was out, and I dug me a good foxhole, very close to the to the ocean, far enough back I thought we were causing a problem. The tide came in, and my foxhole, I had about a foot of water in it. Well, I had my choice of staying in that water all night, the way I figured it, and keeping my butt in one piece, and getting up and moving around and getting it shot off, and just stay dry. I chose water. Anyway, the infantry pushed them on in, and this water distillation unit, see, they haul water in 55-gallon drums. And the 7th Marine Regiment had the responsibility of rinsing those things out, and those drums only contain oil, gasoline, or diesel fuel. And they didn't even rinse them out. Well, it wasn't done any good anyway, because the stuff all on the side comes to the top. And that was where we got our water. We got to fill up 2 canteens that night, and you held your nose to drink it. So they really look out for drinking there. So we get this water distillation. All you had to do was run this hose to the ocean. And it would, that thing would pump the water through this unit, and it comes out nice, cool, just perfect drinking water. But they couldn't get the network to run. And so, and I knew that what had happened if I fixed it. But other than, because I was going to be a demolition man one way or the other. Because, so it was a Continental 4-cylinder flathead engine that I had worked on many times when I was a mechanic that year. International Harvester used them in one of that small trucks. And so I said, I'll fix it. And I fixed it, and I got it running. Well, now you stay with us. We got to have this water. That's where I was. My buddies coming back with those souvenirs from the front, flags and swords and sabers, rifles. And I didn't have anything. You know, it's kind of funny. They said this is not entirely true. There's some truth to it. They say that the Japanese fought for the emperor, the British fought for the queen, and the Marines fought for souvenirs.
You think that was true?
A lot of it. Well, you trade it to the Navy and the Army supply troops for something to eat, for one thing, and then it was a good thing getting booze, too, from the officers. Anyway, I stayed with that thing. Now, an interesting thing happened. You got time left?
I got plenty of time.
There was a guy that got in the Marine Corps. He was a Democratic senator from Illinois, Paul Douglas. Dr. Paul had a Ph.D. and taught at the University of Illinois for years and the economics professor. He wanted to join the Marine Corps. They offered him a commission. He said, that old codger, I don't know how old he was. I believe he had to be too old to really go through boot camp, but he made him go through. And he went through as an enlisted man. He finally ended up commission. When he got out there, he was captain, major one. And he got attached to, and we were attached to the 3rd Battalion, 5th Marines. That was a real crack infantry outfit. They all knew. They really set the record in World War I. And he was with that outfit. And he knew his men needed water. And so he got in an old Jap truck and he quit running, so we assigned him one of our trucks and a driver. And it does. he cussed. He just cussed all the time. Every little word he was cussing. And he was known for his cussing. He must have gotten down. He was skinny. I bet he weighed 130 pounds. And I wasn't around close to 6 feet tall. Just dried up. But he just kept going all the time. And so the guy in him, he was old Father now, boy. Corporal Montag was his name. And so Douglas guy had his name down. And Montag, he was, you know, he's down the block now. Those guys don't quite give a damn about things. So he went up and introduced himself. And old Douglas said, now, Montague, he called him Montague. I like to cuss. He said, I call you a son of a bitch. You just call me a son of a bitch right back. Old Montague said, okay, you old son of a bitch.
He took him at his word.
And he said, boy, I like you. We're going to get along just fine. He would come up to that unit. He would grab 2 of those 5-gallon cans. And so one of them was 120 at 9 o'clock. And humidity was, you could hardly breathe in that stuff. And I said, well, I'll help him. I didn't have to. I could handle one, but I couldn't go 2. And they had trouble. They tried to keep him around the headquarters, command post, but if they needed a flamethrower, if they called back and there wasn't anybody there to take it, old Paul Douglas toted that thing up there himself. He really had a feel for him. He got hit on Palo, and they went in the aid station one time on the and they told us to evacuate. He started cussing and screaming. He said, and he ran out that aisle. He had a big old, all the side of his face, he got hit with shrapnel, and that old bandage, he stayed stuck at the top, but the bottom was just flopping and breathe. Nothing was going on.
So he stayed. He wouldn't be evacuated.
That's right. One time, they were going in a cave that's kind of up on the bluff a little, and the guy slipped up there, and they threw a charge in, and the doggone Japs grabbed it and pulled the fuse out real quick before it exploded. And maybe might have done that twice, and they figured out what it's doing. So what old Burchett did, he lit a fuse, the one that would set the cap off and it explosion. And then he tucked it back down in the canvas bag. Then he put another fuse on the outside that left it out burning, and so he threw it in there. And that Jap picked it up, he pulled that fuse out. But the one with the cap in it, and it blew him out. I mean, there was a tank sitting down there, and he came out minus an arm and a leg away, just clean over that tank. But that's the way, boy. And then there another time, you can always tell when there's a big push on, there's just a stream of jeeps coming back bringing casualties. Well, this one, it tears in it. They shoot my boys up there today. Well, anyway, I said, I got to get out of this thing, find out what's going on. I said, something like I got this thing going, and so-and-so can handle it, won't cause any trouble. And I've got him in the Marine Corps, but I wanted to be up front line. I know how you feel, son. Go check you out a satchel charge, that's 25 pounds of TNT, and that's a real good firecracker. And so that's how I did get into combat. The first thing I went into was this little island called Nicosia. It's 400 yards off Alabama, and they were building an airstrip over there. They didn't have it quite done. So what happened was they were shooting at us from that island. So, and they say it's written up as just almost a perfect invasion using your landing crafts and planes and everything. And it's just 400 yards. There'd been a little wooden causeway all the way over it, and it got shot up sometimes. So we went into that one. Right there on the beach was a big pillbox. That thing was bigger than this room. It was covered with sand, And of course they had concrete, what it's made out of. Now when the Japs found out that we were going to blow those things, and on the big ones, they would put a wall, they put it in sections, and the wall would run all the way across it, but at the end there'd be just a little passage where you could go back to another section, and then they would put a door in it down the other end so you could go to another section. So when you threw your charge in the first section, they were there. They might get a headache, but it wouldn't kill them, see. Or if the shell went in there, the shrapnel wouldn't get to the back part. So that was the way this one was constructed evidently. But anyway, we made this invasion, and I noticed the Corsairs were scraping that thing. The landing crafts would put machine guns on that. Tanks went across there, and they hit it a lick. Now, again, I was not in the first wave. I never knew what wave was in. But we went on in and bypassed that thing. Then we went down to the left where the infantry, they hit the island, they went both ways. We were supposed to go down and do demolition work for the guys on down the left flank. So we got almost up there. And some water started coming in. I mean, it is very distinctly. You know, just my buddy and I were there. We were not, you don't stay bunched up because guys, they sniped and they were machine guns. And it's really a full automatic weapon, and you never got just one shell coming your way like that, right? You got 30 at least before they get the hand off the trigger. So we were probably 10, 15 yards apart, and we stopped. And I was on my knees, crouched down, and as I raised up to look to see what was going on down in front of us, I could hear this shrapnel coming through the air, singing, you know, like a, say, I'll take a flat rock and throw it, make it whistle and sing. I expected it was about somewhere for $50. As I raised up, it hit my pack. I didn't get bad nose because I had a machete in there, in a holster there, and hit that flat steel blade. I mean, it made a noise like you were bleeding, but you hit. I said, no, but my pack is. But the thing about it is I thought, right after that, had I been crouched down like I was, just 3 seconds before it came, it'd come right through my neck. You know, that makes you funny. Anyway, they called us back to the beach on that place, that big bunker that we bypassed. And then it had come alive. They dug out, see. They weren't killed or badly injured, so the reason it called us back, those bastards, I don't know how many was in there, I think it was one, and I finally got him in the time now, but he was shooting at Marines laying on the field hospital on stretchers about 200 or 300 yards down the field. So we got back there and they told us to blow it. Well, some stupid sergeant had forgot to put the caps of fuses in yards. So the guy that had the caps, he stayed away from the rest of us because although you can shoot a rifle and a lock of TNT and it would explode, it takes what's called a detonating wave or another explosion. And that's what the cap does. It's real sensitive. The heat of the fuse ignites it, it explodes, and then it's simultaneous. Then the TNT explodes. So you keep those away from the TNT. You don't even bring them together when you just come near them because a shell can explode and can set off TNT. So when we got more shells coming in, we threw that satellite charge fall in front of us and we did. But anyway, he didn't have any. So here I've got my Tommy gun and I'm going to cover whoever goes up there. So we're on the island side and we come back to this place and my buddy, he's going to attack it with my mates. And I'm going to wait for them to get the caps down. in the meantime, the post comes up by the door entrance to that thing on the ocean side, and this crazy Jap is shooting at those Marines on the stretcher, and I can see about a foot and a half of his rifle. You see, he was laying down, those rifles were almost tall as the Japs were themselves, and he would shoot and he'd bring it up to put it perpendicular and mark the boat. And so I didn't have anything else to do, so I set the gun on semi-automatic, and I was on full automatic, and I shoot from versus about 3 in his rifle. And because I didn't have anything else to do, finally I hit it, he stopped. Now, my buddies, they got a fence running along that thing on the island side, so I can't really see the entrance. It's just about 3 or 4 feet tall, though, or what it is. And my buddy is out a ways, and he's got arms on grenades, and he starts slipping up there. I mean, I got mad when it did today. I stopped it, I probably shot his rifle or something. The Jap's doing something else in there. And old Sweety's slipping up there, and the Jap apparently sees him, and he starts throwing grenades at him. And none of them go off, but they hit in his face. He's trying to hold his grenades and run up further to it, and I get laughing at him. And then, all of a sudden, just a few feet from the entrance, over the fence, I see some kindling wood starts flying around. And they have a cannon in there. As a matter of fact, this little folder I got here, which I got when I went back there, this here says that this is a Japanese 20 millimeter cannon pill ball. It's a gas-operated cannon capable of firing 120 rounds per minute. They had that in there, and what he was trying to do, where he could sight in on that field hospital, and he would have wiped it out, see? Well, I didn't know all that at the time. So old Sweet, we find that wood starts flying around him, and that Japanese leading another 2 to 4 or something, he is crawling along that fence, and he's out there probably about 10 yards from the entrance. And all of a sudden that Jap stands up. And old Swede is just about 15 feet from him, and they just stand there looking at each other. Well, that just tickled the fire in me, especially old Swede hollers. He's holding grenades with his great grenades we left there, and he hollers, "There he is, shoot him." And that really tickled me. When I had the gun right there, I would have let him, and I cracked down on him.